Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGeek webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is Infrastructure Compliance and Assurance, and this is the second session in the IT Security series. Our guest speaker today is Mr. Manik Vishwas, Security Architect at Capgemini, India. Mr. Manik has 11 plus years of experience in infrastructure security along with expertise in security designing, solution designing, VAPT, application security, wireless penetration test, compliance structure design, website security audit, etc. Manik is responsible of structuring the security posture for India, UK and US environments. He is also experienced in implementing security in cloud-based applications and infrastructure. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Mr. Manik.
Hello. Hi everyone. It's Manik here, and I assume you guys are in a well shape to speak or hear on this particular topic. It's some sort of a boring, but I will make sure that you guys enjoy every bit of it. So without any delay, we will start talking on infrastructure compliance and assurance. One good thing is I have created a small sort of story behind it so that you can relate with what your client meetings or your client presentations, requirement gatherings, how do we address those questions which client often comes from in terms of infrastructure, compliance and data compliance. So a quick start. Okay, so it's a small story. We have our main lead in the story is Mr. Nick. So what he is basically a CISO with a data hosting provider called it Safe and Secure. And he's very particular. He enjoys security. He enjoys researching. He enjoys talking about security. And what happens is one fine day, on a Friday evening, he is ready to go home and he gets his mail from his CEO and says, "Boss, there's a client meeting." Now, the client meeting is at 9 o'clock. He is very confident about it because he's been into it. He is doing all the stuff. He knows how to sell, what to expect from clients in terms of questions. So, cool enough, he was quite good. He created his own presentations, what he was doing with other clients, and comes the Friday and Monday. So, we have someone from a client called Invest Asia. Now, the person who attends or comes to meet Nick is Ms. Nancy Jones. Now, who is Nancy Jones? She is the information security expert working with Invest Asia. Now, they are very critical in terms of data because they deal with a lot of, I would say, investment data, I would say financial data, I would say client data, yes. So they need someone, a place, an infrastructure, a secure infrastructure where they can put this data in it, put in controls, access controls and everything in that particular data. And that's how they have evaluated a lot of clients and somehow they have shortlisted Secure, and that's how Nancy has came to meet Nick. Okay, so this comes to a critical part, the meeting. Okay, it started 9:20. So the first level greetings happened, everything is there. Now what comes is the requirements. That is where we always face problems about defining and understanding the requirements from the client. So what is the requirement? Now first requirement which Ms. Nancy put in front of the Nick is, how do you secure a client data? That's quite a vague question and quite a simple question. Okay, so Nick gives all the possible stuff. So he says that, boss, we have a stringent rules across the data access to prevent data leakage. We have all procedural checklists in place, which has been audited at all the data lifecycle points. we have a strict non-disclosure agreement, non-disclosure policies. Without getting a proper approval, we don't disclose the stuff. Okay, we don't even encourage our system engineers to be carrying USBs or any sort of external connectivities, which can lead to some sort of a data leakage without our tracking and stuff. Our infrastructure is at the, carries the maximum level of defense in depth. Now, we will understand what exactly you talk about defense in depth when it comes to compliance and assurance. So we have a lot of defense in depth here, so there's no point of someone coming and stealing the data, no way. So any attack coming in here is sanitized before actually getting into it. So Nancy was impressed because she had probably heard the same things from 10 different vendors. She was expecting some sort of uniqueness which will convince her that the order should be given to Citizen Secure. Okay, now comes to the main part. Now she is getting really into how about data security, and on that data security, how the infrastructure is compliant to secure that particular data. So the requirement to which comes in front of client next is what standard you follow to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the data. So he is very good. I mean, he says, boss, we are hosting clients which come from healthcare, DNSS, banks, manufacturing, stockbroking, automotive industry. So it's not a specific, it's not a big deal for us to ensure the CIA of the critical data. We already have critical data in place, and we have checklists, we have policies in place, which is not only a mix or integral part of integrity integrity or integral of lot of the practices, but also we, as an integral part, we have standards like ISO 27001, PCI DSS, etc., which we usually follow. Okay, so he already created a presentation of it. So what he did is, okay, to support that presentation, to support what he is speaking, he opened his presentation in front of the client. Okay, so that's it, that's it. So now what happens here is, just a second. Okay, so now this is the slide which he has probably created in his presentation. So he is putting this slide in front of the client. So he says that our approach, our compliance approach is basically governed by a cyclic effort. It starts from not only adhering or complying to the various standards and best practices which we have, or which is very famous in structure, but it is also about protecting or adhering to the data protection law. Now, if you guys understand this, you will now go back and think that, boss, we talked about a lot of stuff, including ISO, including PCI DSS, including standards, including a lot of stuff, encryption, whatever. But at the end of the day, what we do is we try to forget our basic stuff from where the standards are coming in. So from where the standards are coming in is basically the data protection law. So so this is where the real part of the compliance comes in first. My approach towards looking into compliance is not of putting ISO, not of putting PCI, but adhering to the protection laws. Okay, so you have UK, you have Data Protection Act, you have India, you have IT Act, you have other countries, you have US, you have Federal Information Law. So these are the things which is layer 1 compliance. Layer 1 compliance. Layer 2 comes whatever more advanced or whatever more things you want to add it. But this is protection law. Cool. Now these two things get added or mapped to your business model. So you cannot have anything apart from your business model. Your company might be saying, boss, we are in the business, we want to do these 4 things. But you cannot say, no, you cannot do it because my data protection law says something else, my ISO says something else. No, there has to be a mapping of the company ethics or the company model, delivery model, along with the best practices along with the protection laws or protection acts. Okay, and finally, this entire cycle should not be stringent. Now here also we fail sometimes because we say, boss, we have a very stringent IP policy or data leakage policy, or to prevent data leakage or to prevent sensitivity of the data. It should be acceptable to change because we have to understand what we are dealing with. We are dealing with something which is dynamic in nature. Okay, which is dynamic in nature. So we have to build our policies or a compliance structure dynamic. So that is something we have to actually understand, that our entire, whatever compliance approach you make, whatever things you do, but end of the day, it should have a 50% scope to change, acceptance to change. The change might happen as per geographic or as per the type of client which you are working with. So this is something which he has done, and Nancy, good. Okay, so she somehow got interested to it. Now she wants to see infrastructure. So she understood, like, okay, you do a lot of stuff to protect the client's data. But what about infrastructure? Now you will find out why I say infrastructure should also be compliant, not only the data. Okay, so now she asked Nick to go and give a ride or probably give a walkthrough of the infrastructure where the data is actually hosted, and she wants to see the operations. Okay, great. So now they're going there. Now here, what exactly is, now she asked a direct question, what level of compliance your data center carries? Now when you say compliance, a lot of things coming in. Now you might be thinking back in your mind, gosh, I am doing so many things to comply with my data security. Why do I need my data secure? It is not, I have processes in place. My company is investing millions of dollars in technologies which is ensuring data not to be leaked. So why I have to think for infrastructure to be compliant? I don't need that, right? So this same thing, the same thinking process, Nick was having, he was surprised. He said, what? I mean, what compliance? What data center compliance? We have a state-of-the-art facility where our client, where we put in millions of dollars to invest in to build up this facility, more state-of-the-art, more secure, equipped with state-of-the-art technologies. Defense in depth is there. We have 24/7 round the clock monitoring happening of the data hosted with us. So it's not about hosting. He just gave his last sentence. He said it's not about hosting a data with us. It's ensuring your data with us. So when I say ensuring, it's a big thing, man. Big stuff he's saying. So he says your data is insured with us. So when you say insured, you don't have a thing. Like, okay, you don't have a thing. But end of the day, this is everybody's thing. You have 10 clients, 10 vendors in front of you. Everybody will say the same thing. Your data is insured with us. But then again, data is stolen from data. There's always a breach happening from the state-of-the-art facility. So where is the insurance going? You cannot go back and sue it. So Nancy knew everything. She was in the process of evaluating the clients, vendors and everybody, and probably she was aware of these things. She was not expecting. She was expecting something else. She was not expecting this answer coming from them. So she decided to drill more and more down to the entire stuff of it. So now she starts talking. Okay, now she starts putting direct questions. So what tire is your data center? I believe you guys know. The tire. You have 4 tires, right? You have a tire 1, tire 2, tire 3, tire 4. So there's a basis of tires. It's basically a compliance structure on the physical element of the data center. Okay, so so she asked Nick, okay, tell me what type of tires you have. What is the tire level of your data center? So he was like, okay, probably he wanted to hide something, he wanted not to disclose something, and even for this question, if you ask any vendor, they will give the same sort of answer. Okay, so Nick said, okay, what is the need, man? It's a $1 billion infrastructure, man. What's the need of having a tire or audit or something which requires a masterpiece? Okay, you will never find this type of setup anywhere. Okay, But this guy Nancy was very, she's working in this stuff. She's having that clear idea how to evaluate NIST and how to evaluate safe and secure. So she said, boss, you tell me what exactly the tire level your data center carries. So what he says, okay, now he is coming down and says, no, we are not audited and we will be going to get audited in 3 months' time. And we have some transactions going on. And that lost, Nancy lost with this. That means you are storing client data in an infrastructure which is still getting constructed. Okay, so here, now this is something which our vendors don't tell us. Okay, this is something our vendors don't tell us, and this is probably the case why our data, even though they say insured, it's not insured. Okay, and if I relate it to one of the tiring standards of data center audits, so if you see down here, TIA 942, I think most of you guys know, TIA 942 is an industry-based tiring concept. So it says very clearly that no data-related operations can be conducted into a facility which is not fully prepared, audited, or certified by an authorized auditor. Okay, if someone finds this problem, these 3 things are not in place, the entire provider can be blacklisted from the operations, which is clearly written in TIA 942. Okay, so you guys can go back of the mind, drill down to your client interactions, drill down to your vendor interactions. This is something which they will be very proud to say, boss, we are this, we are that, we are this, and we are that. And when you go ahead and ask, boss, okay, give me a site visit, they will say, oh, okay, now this is the reality. So this is something which is there. So if this is the case which is there, then what is the need? So the need of infrastructure compliance. This is a little bit of definition which I have for infrastructure compliance. It's basically an initiative. It's not a compulsion, but it's a necessity. It's an initiative to extend the compliance values of the data to the infrastructure in which it is decided. Although there is no separate list of the standards, but it scopes in complying with the physical and logical aspects of the infrastructure. It's very simple, right? Okay, so a physical compliance could be something like physical attributes, like electrical, flooring, roofing, cable, layout, access control, commissioning and decommissioning areas, etc. Okay, so this all things comes under TIA 942. So when you are having your own data center, okay, and you are looking forward to get into tire levels, I will, you can assure that the auditor will be looking into these things on physical aspects. They will never look how the data is getting stored. They will look how your data center is made, it's planned, it's designed. This is all things which will define your operating center, your data center into various tire levels, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So again it says TIA 942 standard talks about the physical compliance and eligibility of the tires, whether you are really eligible or not. Yeah. Okay. So this is the thing. So why infrastructure? So okay, why infrastructure? 4 things, again, it's a cyclic process. So why infrastructure? So that means you need to comply infrastructure to attain global accreditation acceptance. Yes. It's very easy to sell a compliant infrastructure to the client than an uncompliant infrastructure. Clearly stated. Second, to attain business opportunities. So once you have a compliant in place, compliant infrastructure in place, you tend to get more and more of business opportunities. Okay, you don't have to speak. Your infrastructure, your compliance speaks. To attain client, it's just from the client. Here, the question mark, data security. It's something like, I'll give you a very simple example. Your house, right? You feel safe and secure when you enter into your house. Okay, and What you do is probably, okay, you say, when I leave my house, I lock it with the key, I put double keys, triple keys, I do whatever, I put a finger, I put a retina, I put whatever XYZ thing. That's what? Are you securing yourself? Think of a situation, you are the data, and that particular house is the infrastructure where you are living. You are putting much effort, not on yourself. You are not buying a bulletproof jacket for yourself, but you are investing on house level security products. Why? Why? Because the time you are residing there, it's not you want to be secure by yourself. Your security is inherited from the security of the container. The container is that particular house. So here the same thing is happening. As I said, we put a lot of effort on data security, no problem. But unless or until my carrier, my container is not secure, my data will never be secure. So this is the point of having a data or having an infrastructure compliance. Okay, and coming back to flexibility of state. So again, on the infrastructure level, like you have a lot of stuff. You have BCP, you have business continuity, you will have your replicas of the data centers, you will have your what I would say, anything. I mean, you might be going for an upgradation of some sectors. You might be going for a transition from one technology level to another technology level. But whatever you do should not degrade the level of compliance you have in your data center. So your entire process, whether it's on the data or it's on the infrastructure, should be flexible enough so that whatever changes happens inside that particular model can itself mold itself to comply to those changes. You don't have to sit back and think, boss, otherwise, what will happen now? No, it should not happen that way. It should be well flexible so that everything falls in the same blueprint automatically. You don't have to create a separate blueprint. Okay? So this is something, a little bit of writing I have done. So what are the levels, what are the areas in an infrastructure where you feel compliance should be there? Okay, so what I felt from my experience, from my knowledge, is 5 critical areas where the compliance is most felt or most sought of. One is data information security. Yes, it's there. Second is data flow architecture. That means the flow of data from the data storage to the front end of your application, how the data is flowing, from which all ways the data is going. Service management. The service management is how the entire facility is managed in terms of incidences happening, in terms of events happening, how the entire stuff, the infrastructure is managed. Physical build, how the data center was built. Okay, was it built on some randomly done architecture, or you had a planned architecture? Okay. Then fifth is the most important business continuity. So what is your DR? What is your disaster recovery site? What is the level of the disaster recovery? It's hot, it's cold, it's warm. What level of disaster recovery you have? So these are 5 things. I mean, you guys can come up with, you guys might have, could be 10 areas where you can identify compliance level. But what I have done is I have taken up most critical 5 things of it. And I have divided the basic industry level standards into 5 areas of compliance. So this is something which I have done. Okay, so I said, okay, for infrastructure security or information security, what I have standards like ISO 27001, everybody knows it. PCI DSS, which talks about that not only data should be secure, but the path in which the data travels should also be secured. Okay, that's how people fail in PCI DSS, because they don't think of the path, they don't think of the infrastructure from which the data travels. FISMA. Now, yes, FISMA, I don't know some you guys know or not, but FISMA is not fully operated in India. It is very well begun in US. It's Federal Information System Management Architecture. So it's basically a, I would say, in-house built compliance standard in US. Okay, it's much more stringent in terms of the control, in terms of the levels of security with against what we have in common ISO or anything else. Okay, clear with that? Then we have, like we spoke about this, so we have ISO, you have ISO 27001 here, you have Sigma here, you have PCI DSS here, you then have PCI DSS here as well. So the next part comes as a service man architecture. It's a physical base. Okay, so this is the physical base here. So the TOGAF is a open group architecture framework which allows you to design an architecture with security in place. Okay, so if you see TOGAF, okay, the entire standard is divided into blocks which talks about design-related security aspects of an infrastructure. Okay, so this creates a compliant build up for your infrastructure. Okay, that comes here as a service management, ITIL, everybody knows. You have ISO 20000, you have ITIL. Okay, so this is basically how your tickets are happening, how your entire management is happening, how your incidents are taken care of. So this entire service management is happening here. Physical build. Now this is again I said it's basically your tiring. So this guide is a logical. It gives you a base of architecting an infrastructure. This guide audits this particular base and gives you the level to your infrastructure. It's a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4. Okay. So this is a very high level which comprises of everything. Okay. Next comes, this is very common, BCM, business continuity. So your DR, how is your DR set up? Okay, first of all, whether you really have a DR or not DR. Okay, and if you have a DR, what level of DR you have? You have a red DR, hot, cold, warm, what level of DR you have? Okay, so these, okay, again, now this is just what I have thought. Probably you guys, depending upon the area you're working in, might come up with something else, might come up with a lot of stuff which might be adding to this list. Cool. Our endpoint is to put as much as compliance to all the 5 structures. Okay. Now you guys might be coming to a question. Okay. If this is the case, then where is my configuration? Okay, we have hardening, we have configuration audits, we have configuration security, config security. Where do they fall? That doesn't have this configuration or configuration management actually do not have a separate standard. Okay, they are the intrinsic part of all the standards, and most of the standards here, like PCI DSS has a configuration, ISO 27001 has a configuration. So configuration is basically more on the best practice, okay, rather than a standard. Okay, as a best practice, it is included in all the possible standards we talk about. Clear? Okay. So security is the key. Okay, what we are talking here? We're talking here, if you see everything, what is that? It's security. Hello? Okay. So security is the key. The security, okay, is basically what I would say, a whole approach to secure a 4-letter word data. That's what we do. And because of this security, because of this data, we put a lot of efforts on fixing this security. So we have defense in depth. So defense in depth is like building up a fort against your data. Okay, so if an attack is coming in or some kind of malicious activity is coming in, the purpose should be blocked or sanitized at the first level instance only. If at all somebody is very tricky, very, a hacker is very tricky, he knows, he is very good, he might be able to compromise. Okay, that's how we have multiple levels of security till it reaches the data. There is hardly any chance wherein it can bypass each level of security. Okay, so that is something what we have here. Like, so end of the day, your company is paying you salary to protect this thing, confidential, integrity, and availability of the data. Okay, and that's how. Okay, that's how the entire structure is made. But whatever standard we use must boil to securing not only data but also the infrastructure in which the data resides. Please make this very, very clear to understand. We should not be selfish in securing data and leaving the infrastructure, because if tomorrow infrastructure goes down, your data security will be literally zero. Okay, I can easily track down the data. Now you will be saying, okay, how do you do it? I have encryption, I have hashing mechanisms, I have encryption mechanisms. I don't know how much you know, guys, but first of all, there are a lot of problems with the encryption technology. We will speak about it in coming webinars, but yes, there are a lot of techniques, which have been devised, which have been formed to bypass most of the most used hashing and algorithms techniques. So end of the day, what is it? End of the day, the availability of the data is at a risk. So if your infrastructure is down, the availability is open, that's how your CNI, confidence intermediate, goes down and zero. Okay? Okay? Cool? So now I just made this slide because I thought you guys, most of you guys, you are coming from operations. Now, I have been working and talking with these people, compliance operations, they're always in like 30 start around. Nobody knows each other's definition or what the language they talk. So to make it easy, to make a more friendly relation between your compliance guys and your operation guys, the hardware network guys, I made this slide where I have somehow tried to give a unified approach, okay, by putting a one single data point for security. Everybody works for security. There is an operation guy working. He also works for securing your data and infrastructure. Your compliance guy is also there to secure the data and infrastructure. But probably their mode of working is different. That's how they are called as compliance and operations guy. But their end result to achieve is the same. That is to maintain a security. So this particular slide is somewhere, I would say, it's somewhere. It's my initiative, it's my trial to bridge up the gap between compliance and operations, which is most happening fight in every organization. So compliance talks about more of standards, which we don't understand. So they talk about more on ISO 27001 language, they will talk about more on CCIDS's language, they will talk about Prisma's language, which operations guys don't understand. What operations guys understand is these steps. They will understand the authentication method, they will understand access control, yes, they give access, user management. So threat control they will understand viruses, they will understand attacks, penetrations. They will understand anomaly prevention, to prevent any sort of anomaly or spikes in the network. They understand that. They will understand techniques like DLP, like data leakage prevention. They understand this. The compliance may not understand this, but they understand ISO, PCI, and Prisma. So at the end of the day, to stop this fight, you have to have a common understanding, a common language between this. So as I said, these guys don't have a set of standards, but they will fall under the standards which are already defined. Okay, so if your company is going for ISO 27001, doesn't mean that your stuffs are not into it. The ISO 27001 compliance cannot happen without having an effective authentication mechanism, cannot happen without the access control. Okay, so this is something which needs to be there. One second. Okay. So I think you guys are getting what I want to speak. So end of the day, it's basically security. Okay, we are all working for security, but security is not only for this, but also for this. It's a two-way difference in that. Okay, but yes, Nick was listing everything, and he is a service provider. Okay, so thinking on the perspective of a service provider, he may not be convinced with everything which probably Nancy was saying. Okay, but end of the day, both have their own. She is a client, she is a customer, and Nick is a provider. So there is a clear differentiation of the responsibilities. I cannot ensure, I cannot have a fully compliant model in terms of provider. This is not possible because I have to cater a lot of clients with me. They will have their various, or I would say heterogeneous requirements in terms of security, in terms of compliance. I cannot have one rigid compliance level of my infrastructure. Okay, so that is what it says. It's good, but being a provider, there are a lot of challenges in implementing a 100% compliance model. Okay, but this is not something which is only Nick is facing. This is probably every provider in this entire earth is facing the same problem. How to get 100% compliance stuff? Okay, that is the reason. That is the reason what I did. That is the reason I divided the entire compliance into 5 parts. So I can, being a provider, I can select one part, service management. Okay, I can be a ITIL compliant process. Okay, my other process may not be compliant, but that particular service management is compliant. I think 20,000 ITIL. Okay, so Nancy smiled at it because it's a valid question, and probably every provider is facing that. So that means what? You will not go and talk to a provider. You will not use their services. No, it's not that. Okay, so what she says, she gives a very, very good answer. She says, I don't deny the fact that being a service provider, you have to deal with many more aspects than just thinking about compliance. But clients who are showing interest in doing business invest on trust and money in your company. They will definitely look for the best facility, and the definition of best is not how flashy a data center is, but how compliant your process is. Okay, so you got that idea, right? Why people, why I'm talking more on the compliance, the trust factor. The trust is a compliant infrastructure, a compliant process has, the rules speak about trust. Okay, it is already trustworthy. The client don't, you will not spend time enough to sell it. It is not meant to. Gone. That's it. Okay, so this is stuff. So you have to go to that extra mile. You have to take that extra mile to have that trust built and managed and keep it. Okay. So now, what are the basic challenges? So here he is saying that there is a challenge. Being a provider, yes, there is a challenge. But what exactly are the challenges? Okay. Now if you see this, there must be at least 4 or 5 which will relate to you guys working in the infrastructure, could be facing the same sort of challenges when your client is asking for compliance. First is heterogeneous infrastructure. So that's how he was saying. I will have 10 clients from different sectors of industry. I will have DNSs, I will have healthcare, I will have healthcare, I will have automotive, insurance, retail, people coming. Everybody will not have a same security requirement, right? So if they don't have a same security requirement, how can I have a generic compliant infrastructure? So that is what it says. It's one of the challenges to this infrastructure. Next, wide number of standards to comply. Now, if you see the list, there are a lot of five areas. Could be, if I take an average of 2 standards per area, 10 standards to comply. How to do it? IT support system. Now this is something everybody will will raise your hands for, you know. People don't pay us because we are not a cost revenue generating model, right? So, okay, there is a question. Let me have it. Oh, okay. So, Mr. Subramanian is asking, okay, what is a tire? How many levels and its meaning? Which are all the certifying bodies? Okay, a tire, as I said, is basically a compliance level your infrastructure carries. Okay, if you Google it, okay, you will find Reliance has said, okay, they are coming up with a tire 4 infrastructure data center somewhere in Bangalore. We have Control S, which they claim as somewhere between 3 and 4. So it's basically a tire is a level of standard or level of compliance which is given to a particular infrastructure. What are the certifying bodies? Yes, the certifying bodies are basically TVI. There are no other certifying bodies here. It's directly certified by the policy holders or the standard holders. So you have to comply. They have a sort of checklist which they give. So you have to build the data center based on that checklist, get it internally audited first on the compliance level, and then you have to go for a third-party audit, which then they will specify the relevance of your tire in your infrastructure. I think that gives the answer. Okay. Next is what is PCI DSS? Mr. Zahir has asked what is PCI DSS. Now, okay. PCI DSS stands for Plastic Card Industry, and the DSS stands for Data Security Standard. This is a very, very critical standard in terms of protecting financial information like your credit card. Basically, it's for plastic cards. It's your credit card numbers. It's your bank details. It's your financial details. So RBI in India has made this mandatory way back 2012, like 11-12, yes, to all the merchants who accept credit card or plastic card transaction. So the process is on. Companies like Vodafone, they have already been into a PCI DSS compliant stuff. HDFC, there's a lot of banks, okay, a lot of e-commerce applications like you have SATC, Thomas Cook, they are in the process of getting into the PCI DSS compliance. It's an important and mandatory for everyone who plans to use a gateway either from Visa, MasterCard or American Express to at the first level. So they have to be very, 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 very compliant on PCI DSS. There are a lot of people in India who are responsible as official auditors, okay? So like control case and stuff, so they will help in giving the compliance. Mr. Naveen has asked that how do we decide which tire is suitable for our business continuity? Now, Mr. Naveen, you have to understand that business continuity, you don't need to decide on a tire because business continuity is something wherein in a time of crisis, you would expect your business to be working on, okay? So may not, you might think that all my 10 components which are business owned, I can leave something. Okay, so I can leave something and I can select what are the priority 1 components without which I cannot survive. Depending on that, your DR or your disaster recovery setup is made. So here the tires is not coming into picture. It's not mandatory to have your DR site tired certified. So if you don't have tires in your DR site, that's perfectly fine, not a problem. Okay. So that's fine. Okay. So coming back to the slide. Okay. So IT the support system. We all laugh at it. You have to live with that. Okay. Then we have outsourced infrastructure. Yes, we heavily built on infrastructures. We heavily put our money to outsource the infrastructure. That's how our economy, Indian economy, survives. Okay, so this particular stuff, outsourced infrastructure being outsourced, where the compliance requirement is very high. You are compliant, you will get more and more business opportunities in terms of people will outsource their data to their operations to you. Okay, who will incur the cost? I do it. Okay, you tell me the 10 things. Who will incur the cost? Okay, that's again a challenge. I should incur or my client should incur. Okay, lack of awareness. So I don't know. I'm not aware. I am aware of ISO 27,001, but I'm not aware of whether your infrastructure needs to be compliant or not. So I'm not aware of it. Cost versus ROI model. This is where most of you will raise your hands. Your cost versus ROI model. Whatever investments I'm doing, will I be able to get the return on investment on that? Okay. So sorry. So these are the main challenges. These are the main challenges of having I would say having a 100% compliance model. Okay. I will derive with it, but there are ways to do it. So what is the next step? I know we have challenges, we have seen everything, but what is the next step? Okay. So that you are not only one guy or one provider who is facing this problem. There might be 10 different people in the entire world who are facing the same problem. So we have to find out a way wherein the problem, if not mitigated, can be addressed. Okay, and on that approach, now everybody is talking on cloud. Okay, so cloud. Okay, another big thing coming up. Fine, but you have to ensure one thing: whatever infrastructure model you take, whether it's a traditional or it's a cloud or whatever infrastructure model you take, you have, as a business guy, as a data customer, or as a data provider, service provider, you have to have a very, very, very clear understanding that how should I take my compliance level to the next step, irrespective of the model in which I am dealing with. Okay, if at all let's say if I'm dealing with if I'm dealing with a cloud model, fine. But that doesn't mean my cloud model will not have a compliance. It will have a compliance. The point is, you guys are the owners. You guys have to decide what should be the best way to prove or to put a compliant model in your infrastructure. It's entirely you guys. There is no, as I said again, there is no golden book available which says, boss, you have to do this. No. The compliance model should be entirely intact with your business goals. You cannot have a out and move sort of. Okay. So now what Nick is having a valid question. So he said the challenge still remains. We are planning to convert the entire facility into a cloud-centric hosting. So don't you think this will add to my challenge of being compliant? It's fine, because going to a cloud is making your entire operations more public. Okay. So when you are going into more public stated operations, you have your headache over compliance and security becomes very high. I have been working with cloud-based operations, cloud-based infrastructures, designing and everything for a long time, and still now I face this problem to justify saying how will my data be secure? What level of security my data will carry in a cloud? Not just persisting. So I cannot justify completely because all of you will know cloud is something which is still on paper. Okay, I am a member. I am working closely with Cloud Security Alliance. So there we do a lot of brainstorming, creating algorithms, creating some controls wherein the data can be secured in terms of transit. Still, it's on paper. So you cannot say that we have something unless and until we say we have something. Yes, it's there. So what she says is, yes, cloud is indeed the next step, which everyone is taking. And so being a provider, it will add the challenge and complexity. But it is just a thought which needs to be researched because people are moving to it. So we are not the only guys. Everybody is moving to it. It's economical thing. Everybody is moving to it. It will be a global challenge. If it all is a challenge. So I say, that's what I say. The entire architecture needs to be built by you. Okay. So any questions till now? Apart from this three gentlemen. Okay. Mr. Yogesh has given a question. So he says, what is the latest standard version of TIA? By the way, my small suggestion. Questions can be answered after years. Oh, fine. That's fine. That's cool. But yeah, since you have answered the question, so TIA, there is no revision happened in TIA. It's still 942, so that remains the same. So still it's updated one is TIA 942. Okay. So challenges coming on cloud infrastructure is little bit you guys know it. Multi-tenant architecture. We have a lot of people having the infrastructure in a shared platform. Increases the compliance and security team. No control on infrastructure as a customer, where you don't have a control on the infrastructure. So again, suppose access cannot be limited or tracked. So it's open. So if you don't have a stringent access control, so it cannot be limited or tracked. Scared about data security and compliance. Yes, we cannot. I cannot put in a data security and compliance only to my workspace and leave the entire infrastructure. No. Geographical independence. Geographical independence because the data can be shared or accessed from anywhere. Okay. No transparency in provider and user responsibility. So now this is something very important. I know, I think most of you guys have heard about it. The real problem with people moving in cloud or people thinking not to move in cloud because there is no transparency between the responsibilities which a cloud owner and a cloud customer will take, a cloud user will take. Okay, so if you talk about data, okay, so who should be, any loss of the data, who should be responsible? Whether it's the client who should be responsible or the provider should be responsible. So we need to be very, very stringent in putting the controls in terms of the policies and procedures wherein the responsibility should be clearly defined before you guys enter into the client-provider relationship. Okay? cannot rely on infrastructure compliance standards. So it's the same thing. We cannot rely on one because our infrastructure is heterogeneous infrastructure. So our compliance should be heterogeneous in nature. Okay, so these are the common things which are scary about cloud as of now, and there are some things. There are a lot of things in there. Okay. So now another part which is coming in. So I have a couple of slides left. Call it compliance assurance. Now it's very simple. Now I have a compliance. It's not compliance is not a one day or 1 point job. Okay, it is about assuring the compliance. Okay, so you have to have that attitude of assuring the compliance rather from taking the compliance as my name Lelia, so Lelia. No, it's not that. It's an attitude. So compliance is not a one-time activity. It's an attitude. Okay, so next mile, next mile. If you are compliant and you need to ensure that you remain compliant. Okay, so he said, I mean, yes, you have to assure, but that is again increasing the operational cost. Who to take? Right? So he agrees to it, right? And most companies fail in that, and run into millions of losses along with public harassment. I understand that compliance do not mean that everything is fine and okay and we are secure, yes, but an positive approach in making things okay proactively makes a lot of difference. So it's a positive approach. Okay, we understand security breaches will still happen, but a structured plan to defend them will definitely help. It's a small thing. So she attaches some facts of what she said. So this is particularly a 2012 fact in which if you see the percentage of data leakage which has happened, you will find lots of data leakage which has happened from the infrastructure point of view. There is nothing like a data got leaked, even the infrastructure was secure. So if you see percentages like 73, 82, 66, they are all infrastructure level. So that means this happens because the infrastructure is not compliant. So if you are not compliant, okay, so that is what it says. So the hacking method, hacking stuff which has happened in 2010, 2012, and if you see, lot of the hacking attacks are not on the data, they are on the infrastructure. Okay, and if you see the organization levels, you have a larger organizations which are low, light shaded graphs, and you have a entire organization which are which is a collectively of ownership. Okay, so if you see, so end of the day, what I meant here is, that it's not about data. Ultimately here, what I say is it's not about data, it's about infrastructure. Okay, it's about infrastructure. Basically, your attacks will never come to data unless and until your infrastructure is well enough to sustain that particular attack and minimize it. Okay, so what are the 4 phases of compliance assurance is something which you guys are already doing in your day-to-day job. Monitoring and management, you monitor your physical health of your setup, you monitor your access control, you monitor your prevention detection, everything, IDS, monitoring, yes. Resolution and response, proactive SLAs, reactive SLAs, everybody knows, service management. Okay, governance to the protection laws. Okay, we talked about protection laws, right? So you have every segment of this entire earth is divided by protection laws. So you have to have a stringent governance to have a protection law. So to ensure effective cross-border delivery. So it should go from country to country without any fail. And every top 3 things should be guarded by a proper auditing and assessment, okay, proper or periodic reviews should happen, and moreover, whenever you are thinking of security, don't think security as a topic, think security as an ingredient to develop your process. So security should be embedded, not enforced. Okay, so if it is embedded, then your job as a security person is very, very limited. So you know you have already embedded the security. So these are the 4 things which we do normally, but we don't think about it. So, but it's a happy ending. Yes, Nick was able to get that particular order from Asia, but the contract is a deferred contract because only one condition, that the operations will start only after they are certified and compliant. Okay, but it's a happy ending. But it's a story, right? In real time, it may not be a happy ending. Okay, so you guys have to think, you guys have to architect, design a plan with is not so much an operational incentive, it should not be a cumbersome, it should not be a pain to implement, it should not be a rigid, it should have a window to breathe in terms of changes. And that's where I think we will attain that point where we call upon infrastructure compliance. So this ends my presentation. So any questions? Yeah. Okay, Mr. Natarajan has asked a question. Is there a standard, okay, is there a standard IT policy available for India customers with security control operations for operating systems? Okay, now, Mr. Natarajan, you should understand one thing, that when I say operating systems and applications or security controls, you are actually talking about hardening a particular component. And as I said, no particular standard or no particular operations or no particular standard is defined for this. But yes, there are best practices you can talk about. You can see NIST best practices. You have NIST has defined a very beautiful secure, secure handling practices. You have OWASP, which talks about how to do a hardening of your operating system. We have an applications coding checklist. We have a secure auditing of the application checklist. These are all available as a free download from OWASP site and NIST site. So you can take it up from there. Okay. Mr. Puneet has asked a question. Our clients have to store a lot of images every day on the data cell. Okay. Till that the data is stored in encrypted form in the MySQL cluster. Okay. But they want us to shift the storage from database server to a NAS. Okay. My question is, this will not be a compromise to the security of that. Now, this is a good question actually, but the security compliance breach or compromise is what we have to decide as to what images they store. Okay, and will the transfer or will the movement will really affect that type of or it will really reveal any sort of information which might bring down the trust or which might create a negative impact for you and your organization. So based on that, then you have to have a secure transfer method which you have to devise that. Yes, yeah. So something. Mr. Vijay has asked a question. What are the initial steps we should take to take it for the awareness? Now, Mr. Vijay, awareness again an attitude as well. And you have to be more and more discussing, and you have to be more and more reading about what is happening in terms of compliance, which is what is happening in terms of vulnerabilities, which is what is happening in terms of security market. Okay, so there are a lot of things coming in and going out, and you have to be up to date. Okay, so that is the level 1 awareness which is very important. Second thing is lot of interactions. There are a lot of security forums is there. There are good websites like Security Focus is there, which gives you a very good picture about what is happening in trending in security field. So you will get a lot of stuff, and you will have a lot of webinars. So not a problem. Ms. Lakshmi has given a question saying that what are top weaknesses in compliance department and how can you improve them? Oh, okay. Compliance department, the one weakness. I will give you only one weakness, which is there everywhere. It is lack of documentation. So that is one weakness. Everybody, we don't have that massive type in, right? So lack of documentation creates lot of problems when there is a handover, when there is an audit, when there is a forensic needs to be done, when there is a dig out needs to be done. So without having a lot of documentation, we actually fail in audits in terms of organization. Apart from that, you have compliance. You have weaknesses like clear desk policy. Okay, you keep papers out, you go. That's it. It's a clear desk policy. You try to you often we often get scared. Okay, somebody like MD tomorrow calls me and say, hey boss, give me a password. I want to access your account. What do we do? This guy is giving you a salary, but he is MD. And he's MD. But he is doing something, he is asking something which you cannot afford to do it. How to do it? How to tackle that? So these are some common areas where there are a lot of improvement which should happen. It's again, as I said, it's more about being bold, and we need to understand and we try to say no in a polite manner. So that makes a lot of sense. Any other questions? Okay. Mr. Kshitij says, as a third party, we compliant our what with our client, or what data with what had been given to the client. Okay. Here, how we will find security with is getting complaint manually. I'm sorry, Mr. Kshitij, I'm not able to get your question correctly. If you can rephrase the question or something like that, that is easy for me to understand. Okay, moving to Mr. Rakesh. He says, okay, I have a large network across 5,000 PCs across locations. We are using point set and point media encryption. Is that correct to use in corporate? Okay. Now, I believe you are talking about a product which you are using. You are understand. Now, point is that now couple of things you need to keep in mind before evaluating. One is what is the criticality? Okay, what you want to secure? What is the criticality of the data? If you are saying my data residing in the desktop are critical, so you have to have a point set, or I would say desktop agent, or I would say encryption agent which will encrypt your data across your PC. But having said that, this would be a pretty much tough job managing 5,000 PCs. So you can have one thing, you can have a centralized encryption mechanism, which will help you to monitor, not only to monitor but also to secure the data centrally across all your locations. So that is something good. So now you have a point security, which is probably a host. If I'm getting it right, it's probably a hosted security mechanism, which is securing one host at one point of time. So you will be having 5,000 installations, but it is not that easy in the long term when you will be expanding to another 5,000. I would rather say that you can evaluate some centralized encryption mechanism wherein sitting at one place you can be able to monitor and manage the entire network. Okay. How secure is the cloud? Okay, Mr. Kalon has put in the question. So, well, I think this is not the right area or platform to talk on this. But we will surely take up this as a separate webinar where I will try to demonstrate what are the challenges on cloud. So that will give you a very beautiful picture about compliance versus non-compliance model of the cloud. Mr. Natarajan says, is it practical to achieve? Okay, I say 100% compliance. It's not what is the alternative. Oh, okay. I will say, I mean, 100% compliance is still ideal stuff. Okay, ideal thing. There is nothing called 100% compliance. That means we are talking about 100% security, which is not possible. Alternative is, as I said, I mean, you have to have a middle way out of it. You cannot be too rigid in impacting your policies. You cannot be too lenient in impacting your policies. So the biggest alternative here is, I would say, take out most relevant parts from each and every compliance standard. You don't have to put in all the compliance. No, every compliance has sections. So take out those sections which are relevant, which is relevant, okay, and make your build your policy based on that particular choice that you have made. So it will give you a flavor of various standards and also various compliance levels attached to those standards. That is, I think, that is the most easy and alternative way of having a 100% compliant, near about 100% compliant. Mr. Rajendra has put in a question saying that just okay. In IT security compliance, how to impact on business and how to implement the best security. How to impact on business? You mean to say how to calculate the impact? If you are saying how to calculate the impact, now basically now this is something impact analysis you have to do, wherein it's nothing but you have to do a risk assessment wherein you have to come up with the impact level by multiplying only two factors, which is the level of compromising or level of ease of exploitation on confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So a given incident at one point of time can be applicable only at one or two of the triad. That is, either it will be compromising the confidentiality but leaving the integrity intact and availability, or only one. So that way what we can do is we can come up with the actual impact of the risk of that particular process. And best security, again, I would say best security is something which again it's there is nothing but best security. What security you do is best. So you being the owner of the entire process, okay, and you being the owner of the entire process, you cannot say your security is best, my security is best. So it's best. It's like doctor to doctor. Okay. What are the steps involved planning for cloud infra for security? Okay, Mr. Kalol, I think you are more interested, very much interested in cloud. So I'll keep noted about this. If I start speaking of this, so probably it will take a lot of time. So as I said, I'll surely make my next webinar on cloud planning, cloud security. I'll definitely keep this on note. Mr. Vijay is asking, is official attendance of a person is a Personal Data Information Security Act? Oh, okay. Now this is a very good question. Now it depends. What now? Seeing personal data attendance. Okay, attendance. The relevance of the data depends upon which department, through which department you are looking at. Like for example, for a finance guy, attendance is very high. Attendance is required. It's a very critical data. But for me, attendance is not a critical data. Same as for HR, attendance is critical data because tomorrow you have to plan it out, the HR or leaves or whatever. So it again depends from which side you are standing and looking to this. So I think, and there is no Security Act. It's basically personal data like attendance or stuff is derived by, or I will say run by or governed by corporate policies, which could be a blend of standards or ISO 27000 or whatever, but it is generally driven by corporate policies. Yes. A lot of good questions. Yeah. Any more questions?
Well, those were the only questions we
Mr. Kalol, I'm sorry I couldn't answer your question, but I'll definitely make it a separate session and wherein we can discuss more in depth about cloud, infra planning and security stuff in it. Where I could demonstrate something to you guys.
We have one more question, Mr. Menak, from Mr. Ranjit.
Oh, okay, Mr. Ranjit, yeah. How is it a logistic company? How could we know that our IT infrastructure is compliant? Is there any certified company who provides infrastructure? See, Mr. Ranjit, I mean, irrespective of the type of company you are in, okay, we have a very specific set of compliance standards in market. Okay, now, as you said, I mean the logistics, as a company you are in the logistics business, but probably inside the business operation level would be somewhere wherein you are having lot of inter departments which are working. It could be something which is much, starting from a billing department to operations to service delivery to everything. So as I said, every department will comply to some or other standards in some or other way. Okay, so there is not a one standard which talks about it. But again, if you want that, okay, your company should be certified on some level of standards or something, I would say you guys should go for ISO 9000, which is the quality certificate, which talks about how your organization is dealing with the quality, is dealing with the stuff. And you can also go for ISO 20000, which is like a service delivery certificate. So these two, I think 20000 followed 9005 will be an appropriate match for you. And sorry, coming to the companies, there are a lot of companies. You have GSI, you have CSIs are there, you have GSI, you have a lot of companies which can audit and which can give you certification. You can also call ISO certified auditors. It's entirely on your part of it. What are the, okay, Mr. Kalal has come up with a different question. What are the best practices to follow? The best practices to follow a compliance is only awareness. That's it. The best practices, I will not say practices, practice to follow compliance is only awareness. There is no other way where you can, see, it's very simple, you have to embed the security, the compliance, that okay, you have to, like for example, you come out from a house, you never forget to lock your house. Who has taught you to lock your house and doors? No, it came from your mind, right? Same way, compliance is something which should be your own initiative. Okay, so there is no best practices. And how to build up that initiative is basically, talking with people, understanding what is happening on the compliance area, more and more awareness of it, and that's how you will in fact try to build up or revamp the entire process so it is more implementable. So I think the best practice to follow compliance is being aware of the compliance itself. Any questions?
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Manak. Those were the only questions we had for the day. It was really great webinar from your end. I'm really thankful to you for conducting this session. I would also like to thank all our participants for the support in making this webinar a success. The recording of this session would be available on techgeek.com by tomorrow. Thank you all. Have a great evening.